31 years old and I'm a food and beverage professional. I started out my career as a chef and later on started traveling around the world in the different regions of Europe to perfect my trade. Later on, I decided to come back to the Philippines and try out my luck here. It's a sunny day outside and it's a lovely time for me to show you how I love to make my perfect breakfast. So why don't you join me in my kitchen and I'll show you how to do that. We're ready to go. Alright, so for today's breakfast, we're going to prepare a simple recipe that's really healthy and great to start your day. For this recipe, you're going to need 2 eggs, a slice of cheese, some squash, sigarilyas, which is a Filipino version of beans. We have here some kamote, which is sweet potato, 1 carrot, 4 ladies' fingers, or in Filipino we say okra, and some red tomatoes. Now I've got here my salt and pepper, olive oil, and a little bit of extra Parmesan cheese. And as you can see, I've prepared already my bowls. Once I'm done chopping, I can separate my ingredients properly. And here my tray that will go into the oven. So as you can see, I'm slicing the squash, and I'd like it to be quite thin as I want this to be a dish that cooks quite quickly in the oven. So slicing it thinner will make it easier to cook in your oven. When I'm doing my preparations in the kitchen, I really like having this bowl near the sink. So that when I'm peeling or whatever I refuse from my chopping board, I can easily discard and I don't need to keep running to my trash can. It's really easy and simple. So now that I'm done chopping this first part of the ingredients, I'd like to blanch them first. So blanching is actually quickly putting them in hot water just to start the cooking. You want to make sure that it starts the cooking before you put them in the oven. So for that, I've got the beans or the sigarilyas, the kamote or sweet potato, carrots, and the squash. So let's do that now. Over here, I've got my stove. I'm going to grab my pot and add some water to that. You don't want to fill it up too much, just halfway, just so it coats well all your ingredients. Anyway, you're only cooking for 2, right? Here, grab a bit of lacquer. And we're gonna wait till that boils. Our water's boiling and I'd like to throw in some salt. Now I love to use sea salt as much as possible. It's more natural. A few pinches there. 1, 2. There, that's just to flavor our vegetables. And now that that's boiling, I can throw in my vegetables. Now this will be really quick. See, you can just put them all together. Strain them all together. Right. And we'll make sure that it comes to a boil, and when that's ready, we'll just remove them. That's blanching for you. Really quick cooking, starting your vegetables, and then we can bake them. Alright, so now that the water's come to boil, that means your vegetables are half cooked. You can turn off your fire, and we'll bring this to the strainer that I've prepared in the sink. Alright, there we go. I'll quickly throw them in cold water to stop the cooking. Okay, we're done. That looks delicious and so colorful. What a healthy breakfast. I can't wait. Okay, so back into the plate. Alright, so I've already prepped all my ingredients. In time, I've also sliced the other vegetables that didn't need blanching. And we've got them here, and you can just throw them into your pan that you've prepared earlier. All at the bottom. Okay, you want to make sure that you have a bit of vegetable in every area, so you try to separate squash, carrots. You can see a bit of everything everywhere. There you go. Transfer some of this here. Now on top of this, I can put my other vegetables. I've sliced the tomatoes. And the okra. And this cooks really fast. That's nice. We'll put the egg on top of this. Salt and pepper. Okay. Some olive oil, extra virgin. Just a few drizzles here and there. You make sure all the vegetables get their little dose of olive oil. It's so good for you. And remember that slice of cheese? That's easy. Just put it right in the middle. So since my dish is rectangular, I'm going to slice this in half. Fold it in half, it slices very easily. There you go. Tear it down the middle. I've got a bit of cheese here and a bit of cheese there. And now I'm going to add the Parmesan cheese. And I was very generous with that. So now you've got your dish. I'm going to cook this a little bit before adding my eggs since they cook really fast. I've preheated my oven for 10 minutes and now it's quite warm and it's ready to have the dish. Now I'm going to leave it in here for about 10 to 15 minutes. Alright, now while waiting I'm going to do other things. So while I've got my dish in the oven, I love to take the time to wash my dishes. I think a clean kitchen is a healthy kitchen. So keep your kitchen clean, guys. Okay, so I can start smelling my dish already. I think it's just about done. I can start making my eggs and hopefully it'll be done just about right in time. So I'll need to get my pan again, add some water. Now we're going to poach the eggs. Halfway through. Now you need a lot of water. You don't want the eggs to touch the bottom. You want to have perfect poached eggs. Okay. I'm going to boil this up again. Okay. I'm going to wait for that. So I'm going to show you how to make some poached eggs. First, I'm going to need some preparation. So I'm going to need some salt, vinegar, a bowl, and my 2 eggs. But for poaching purposes, you only can do 1 egg at a time. So I'm going to crack one first. Very gentle, as to not break the egg, and I want to make sure the egg white is whole as well. Now this is something I learned in culinary school, and it's quite simple, but it can be tricky. So first you want to make sure your water is boiling to a full and bring down the heat. Okay, so now it's at my lowest. I protect myself with a hand cloth, and I'm gonna whisk the water. Okay. Okay, so the water is swirling. While that's happening, I'm gonna add some salt and some vinegar. Salt for taste. Good pinch. And the vinegar will actually help solidify the egg white faster, so that it can be harder than the soft, gooey center of the egg yolk. So I'm gonna put about 2 tablespoons for the amount of water that I put in. Okay, so back to the swirling. I want to make sure it swirls. And I put in my poached egg. So you have to be quite brisk about it. Okay, here's the technique. 1, 2, and here we go. And there you can see the egg swirling, swirling, swirling. Now that's going to cook hopefully into a nice, perfectly poached egg. I can give it a bit of a swirl. Very gentle. Keep it turning, keep it turning. You want to make sure you don't crack the egg yolk. Then you can get a little bit of a slotted spoon or something like this that you can use for pasta cubes. Gently scoop it out and make sure the water comes out. And then I'm going to leave it for about 3.5 minutes. So in the meantime, I'm checking down my oven. Okay, that's almost done. I can now turn off my oven and wait it to cool down. There we go. My egg's been cooking now 3.5 minutes. It's about ready. I'm going to slowly lift it out. I prepared here a little bowl, a little bit of kitchen tissue to absorb the extra moisture. I'm gently going to pick it up, making sure I don't break it. There we go. And gently put into the bowl. So now let's put the finishing touches on our dish. That smells so good. And all our vegetables have really blended well together. I wish you could smell this right now. Now the cheese is melted. You've got everything together, the olive oil and the spices. I've got the poached eggs that I had earlier. They're still a bit warm, but I've just washed my hands, so I can gently use my fingers, which is much safer than using any utensil that could break through the egg. So I'm gently putting that on top, as so. And we're done. We're ready to serve. Let's eat. Okay, so here we are. Let's eat. For a dish, I had my table ready already, and I'm going to go get the coffee. It's always nice to have lovely breakfast with friends. I can't wait to try this, so let's dig in. So we're gonna check our eggs. Ooh, look at that oozing out. It's lovely to have it cracked directly onto your dish. Perfectly poached eggs. There you go. I love eating slowly and taking my time to create the perfect bite. And this dish is really interesting because you can get a bit of all the ingredients together on your fork to really get the complete experience. That's a healthy breakfast. I love being outdoors, and what better way to enjoy it than with a little quick run or a jog. If you're going to buy fresh ingredients in your local market or grocery store, why don't you put on a pair of sneakers and run over? That's what I do. I believe I'm a food hero because I work with fashion. On top of that, being Filipina and French, I use my French skills in the kitchen, but I use my Filipina side for all the ingredients. I love fresh stuff, and I love using local produce. I think it's really important to support local communities and to support whatever is nearest to your kitchen. So I really believe in the shortest way from the farm to your table. Using fresh ingredients is always the best thing for your health